If Romeo and Juliet had sex with Disney's Fantasia, had further intercourse with the first Matrix movie, and then gave birth to a futuristic, sanitized version of Caligula, the result would be Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis. Now, it's not a confusing movie, nor is it contrived, nor is it unwatchable, but it is a work of art, and that's the point. Is art to be appreciated or discarded as frivolous time spent? Without art, what are we as a human species? And without criticism, what are we as intelligent beings? Art must be watched, it must be criticized, and we must be able to have a conversation as to how good it can be and will be if we actually apply ourselves and our love for our passions and our desire to be better as human beings. That is the point of Megalopolis. All right. By the way, a good movie is like a roller coaster ride, right? What do people talk about when they tell you about roller coasters? They tell you how fun and crazy it was, how much they liked it, and they want to do it again. What they never talk about is waiting in line for 20, 30 minutes, sometimes even an hour for a good ride, especially out in Six Flags Great Adventure. I mean, for an experience that lasts maybe just over a minute, and they'll do it again and again and again because they like the thrill. But they never talk about that long waiting time. That's never the focus. They always talk about the thrill of the ride itself. That's what a good movie really is. Waiting in line in anticipation, knowing that the big moment, which probably is only going to last about a minute or more, is coming. As you get closer to the climax, you realize the big moment is almost here. All right, so now you're finally on the ride, you're getting strapped in, you're waiting for it to start, you start taking a visual account and mentally recording every single detail around you. Who's sitting next to you? Who's sitting behind you? How many people are actually on this thing? You know, that guy that just strapped me in, he looks like a weirdo. Everything becomes significant, even if it's insignificant, because you know you're almost there. The ride is about to start. Finally begins, but not immediately. You're elevating, you're getting higher and higher, and you're looking around and trying to judge how far up you are. And it's funny the thoughts that come into your head. How many bones am I going to break if I fall out of this thing? Am I going to die from this height? Now you're at the precipice and about to drop, and the roller coaster finally begins. That is Megalopolis. You got to understand something. Francis Ford Coppola isn't simply a filmmaker. He's a painter. He captures Renaissance imagery and animates them. He finds the beauty in grotesqueries. He finds the grotesque and obscure beautiful. In most of his movies, nearly every frame can be screen captured and converted into a picture to be hung on your wall. He doesn't just care about dialogue, which is very important, but he cares about true expressions, facial expressions from his actors, and real emotion. He's not a fan of the fake or frivolous. If you're a bad actor, he lets you be one. If you're a great actor, he demands perfection. If you say a line in one of his movies not the way he imagined, he simply takes that. It's a new brushstroke in his palette. He doesn't discard it. He doesn't struggle to find a new story. He simply allows it to be added to, the word that I can't stand using, the narrative of the movie with further meaning. But the meaning is found in the picture. The picture is the story, not the dialogue. I want you to try this. Watch Godfather 1 and turn the sound off. It's even more expressive than with the music and the words. And you can make a pretty good approximation as to what the story is, the plot, and the details just by looking at the pictures and anticipating. Now, we live in a modern TikTok culture that does not suffer patience in any form. It demands instant gratification. And even that's not fast enough, which is why the most heavily infected users of these social media apps hate amusement parks, hate movies. Patience is necessary to experience a truly fulfilling, fun life, which is existing itself. Now, the premise and moral of Megalopolis is very straightforward. We are capable of great things and we can be better as a species. So let's just at least have a conversation about it and try to make this world, this planet, this universe, the best that it can be. Even if we get nowhere, let's at least try. Now, Megalopolis basically puts you in a place called New Rome, which is Francis Ford Coppola's modern version of New York City. Now, it would have been probably appropriate 10 or 20 years ago when every major city in the world was trying to replicate New York with the bright lights and Broadway and all of the attractions and the diversity of people. But right now, it's just a breeding ground for murder and crime and contempt, and it's really not great. However, it still works in the movie, especially if you're from New York. If you're not from New York, then what you can basically take from it is that this is what all of major cities look like in not only the modern world in the United States, but in the world globally. But let's just accept the analogy, okay? Calling New York City New Rome instead of New York City is accurate, but he left out a lot of important details. I mean, where are the cell phones? Where are the cell phones and interconnectivity of of the world. This is a very important factor in our modern society and in our future. And it's not going to be our demise, but certainly a case could be made for the depolarization of teens and 20s who have forgotten how to be socially active and instead use their handheld devices and their computers. If a human being is within kissing range of them, they just ignore people. They'd rather go and use their handheld devices, their iPhones, to find new friends, even if there are contemporaries and peers within walking distances of their own homes. Now, the dichotomy between a globalized centrist world and a lack of direct human contact is essential. And unfortunately, this is one thing that Francis Ford Coppola did miss in Megalopolis. But what he did get correct is the overindulgence in huge events, but not the rock concerts or the ancient Greek and Roman chariot battles that he depicted in the film, but rather in the popularity of the UFC. I mean, the UFC is mainstream right now. It's globalized throughout the world. Watching two men beat the living hell out of each other to a bloody, destructive mess has now been accepted. As long as the opponents show, quote, grace, composure, and respect by hugging each other and then saying a couple of words to each other because they're so high on dopamine by the end of the fight, they hug. As long as they do that, then it's globally accepted. So then they go home, they basically get their money, and they recover for the next Roman Colosseum battle. Because let's face it, the UFC is the traveling Roman Colosseum, gladiators and all. Now, Megalopolis gives us an insight into the solution to this dystopia, a utopian world of creativity, individual prosperity, global connectivity, and the ability to harness our own, as Francis Ford Coppola would state, quote, human genius, unquote. He is correct that we are capable, but Francis is neglecting the truth of his own existence. He's found a passion and gets to work on it because he played the game of acquiring enormous amounts of wealth to be able to spend it on what he loves. It's an interesting dilemma and obvious irony. He claims money means nothing, but without money, Francis, this movie would have never been made without the selfish pursuit of your own wealth. Megalopolis is about having a conversation about how good we can be, even if we never achieve it, just to ponder what's possible. That's why time and the ability to manipulate it, to disobey the laws of physics, or perhaps to engage those yet to be discovered, is completely irrelevant if we can't share it with everyone else and make something good come from it. Now, for Francis Ford Coppola to call Megalopolis a fable is 100% correct. Only a fairy tale would have such a happy ending. Now, the ending is neither happy nor sad in this movie, but rather abrupt, and it is a commentary on the time and our squandering of it and our remarkable misuse of it in our current human condition. Now, I'm looking at a lot of these commentaries, and I'm looking at people who allegedly watched the film. I can tell you something. These people did not watch it in the movie theater, because if you did, you would have understood there was a lot of surround sound going on. When I mean surround sound, I'm talking 360 degrees behind your back, left, right. It was actually a very fun experience to be in the movie theater and to finally watch a movie that used all of the elements available to it to give you a roller coaster ride, which is what this thing is. But I'm seeing the usual idiotic reactions. Quote, what did I just see? That was all over the place. Actually, it wasn't all over the place. It was very clear and linear and constructed beautifully. Another one that I see a lot of people writing, it was so boring. It actually was not boring, but it did have some extended sequences that could have been spliced a little bit. Like, the horse and the chariots and the singing performances. I think that was all a little bit, just overstated. And there are a couple of cringe moments, which I would have taken out. But then again, the film wouldn't have been Megalopolis. It would have been Megalopolis, my version. The one severe critique I will give to this movie, and I am seeing this a lot lately, probably because all the directors are getting a lot older, there's way too many old men in this movie. Like, way too many old men. Like, you got to bring in a younger crowd, a younger cast. Now, Adam Driver, a lot younger. He did great. His companion there, she did such an amazing role. And I couldn't really place who she was until it finally hit me. I guess it was in the middle of the movie. I was like, oh, that's the chick from Game of Thrones. She's absolutely an amazing actress. She has such an incredibly bright future ahead of her when it comes to major motion pictures. Definitely after this. I mean, any director or any casting person who is worth anything is definitely going to get her in some role. I would love to see her in a Marvel movie or a DC movie or a superhero role, because she has the look, she has the acting ability. She is absolutely amazing and perfect. But there's too many old men. And I'm not talking about Giancarlo. He was awesome. And I'm not talking about Adam Driver's mother. She was awesome. But everyone else, I understand that these guys are acting legends in Hollywood, but they just had too much screen time. And it wasn't as diverse as it could have been. And again, the only thing I can come up with is that he's an older guy, so he's going to the stuff that he knows, and he's kind of neglecting the plethora of new actors available to him. But he saw something in Adam Driver, and I'm glad that he did. And he saw something in this amazing actress from Game of Thrones, and I'm glad that he harnessed those two. But so many younger actors. I mean, I wish he would have just looked at Stranger Things and pulled some of those guys out there and just put him in the movie. But my overall rating of this movie, and I hate to rate movies, so I'm not even going to do that. Go watch Megalopolis if you want to experience a movie. Experiencing a movie means going to a movie theater, saying, I'm going to devote 2 hours of my life to watch whatever the hell's put in front of me, to be able to use my brain, whether I like the movie or not, to actually ask myself, why did I feel these things? And the reason why that you feel good or bad about the movie is because it made you feel something. It's not like watching it and then saying, okay, well, that was really I don't know what I just saw. No, you're not going to say that to yourself. If you walk out of the movie saying that it was boring, it's only because that you're used to getting very quick satisfaction from being addicted to social media, from perhaps being addicted to other things in your life, to being spoiled. Maybe you like eating fast food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner or something. You have to be able to sit down. And even if you go by yourself, who cares? I recommend bringing a friend, because why go by yourself? I had a couple of friends with me, and we had a discussion about it afterwards. We wanted to go eat. It was fun. It was an experience. It was a human experience. And when we all finally spoke about it, one of them hated it. The other one thought it was the best movie he ever saw for Francis Ford Coppola. I'm in the middle. It's definitely not his best one. I mean, I give that to Godfather, but he didn't even want to make Godfather. He did it because he had a family and he was trying to support his family. And look what came out of it. The best mobster movie ever created on earth. Goodfellas comes really close, but Godfather, that so far, and even The Sopranos. Yeah, Godfather's, Goodfellas, and The Sopranos. And I say it goes in that order. Okay, fine. You could put Casino after that. So that other dude actually struck lightning twice, which is amazing. Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola, Godfather 1 and 2, amazing. Godfather 3, very polarizing. I would say that's the one that kind of has boring stuff to it, but he didn't make it for you. He made it for his daughter, and he made it to actually show people this is what this guy who is going on this journey, this is where he's going to end up. And so if you look at it from that perspective, it's not a Godfather movie. It's a movie about what happens after you're the Godfather, and how your life can radically change. So to me, Godfather 1 and 2 is his best film. Megalopolis, an incredible journey, an incredible story. If you like movies, go watch it. If you don't like movies, stay home, turn on TikTok, go watch another YouTube video, go spend the rest of your life wondering how things could have been, and maybe when you're 50 or 60 years old and you're really bored, pop this movie in and be like, oh, that guy Jeff was he was right in 2024. Megalopolis, go watch it.